Yeah, so good morning, everybody. I normally have a Perseverance, the rover on Mars as my background, but I see that technology has changed that. I'm a fan of what's happening out in space. But basically, a little bit of background. I'm married. I have a 25-year-old son who is a mechatronics engineer with a robotics company in Spain. I grew up and went to school in Zimbabwe in Southern Africa. For those who don't know, we'll show a map just now. I studied and lived in South Africa now for 42 years. I also studied electrical engineering, light current, and then worked for our national broadcaster for 8 years with professional video machines and cameras. So that's the technical side. I traveled abroad just to gain a different degree or some more experience, where I worked in Israel for a while, farming tomatoes and mangoes in a desert. And that also adds to the technical or electrical engineering experience. I then broke away from it all because I have a different passion, and I coached children's sport for 24 years. And also there, I upskilled myself and then obviously trained trainers. Now for the last 10 years, I've been working with Care for Education, which you see on the screen, teaching STEM and robotics with Lego to students, teachers, and volunteers. I found a dream job at 50. It takes a long while, and that's why I've explained the rest, because you're very lucky if you find it very early, but you pursue it. And so I found my dream job at 50 years old, working, learning, playing, inspiring, and having fun with children, teachers, and volunteers in the field of STEMI and Lego robotics. And I say STEMI because we've added innovation to that, because it's a very big part of STEM education. I am the Robotics Program Manager for Care for Education in South Africa, and the national organizer for the World Robot Olympiad in the country. So now I'd like to share with you the many hats that I wear doing different things in STEM and innovation. So just as far as Care for Education is concerned, we work with Lego, and basically I work with robotics specifically, but the non-profit organization obviously deals with education from early childhood development all the way through to robotics. And there's a big portion of that in the country, and it's absolutely essential because our education levels in the country are really struggling. So just to see where we are, that's the national flag. And for those who don't know, that's South Africa on the bottom of Africa. So in Southern Africa, just as far as the world map is concerned. And the biggest role which I play is outreach and township robotics. Townships are basically small villages or squatter camps and areas around main centers where the underprivileged live and go to school, etc., etc. And my biggest project is a township robotics project, which has been going for approximately 10 years now, and I've managed it for that time, where we teach 250 to 300 grade 6 to 8 learners on a weekly basis for the middle part of the year, so basically from April to September. And they also have their own competition. We work with 5 schools, and eventually they all participate in a competition, which I'll elaborate on a little bit just now. So just to share the experience, you can see the incredible thing, and what really gratifies me is being able to put some of this equipment, because it's quite expensive, and laptops into townships where they have nothing like this. I've just started a project again now, and I know that the learners that we're going to be presenting to, haven't seen a laptop or moved a mouse or a trackpad, etc., etc. Never mind code or actually build a robot. But the incredible thing and the success of the story is that within 4 months, these learners will be able to actually code a robot to move around on a competition table using all the sensors and motors, and that is the brilliance of the success. Here I have I forgot to change the title, but here I have typically an experience that I would have going into the township, because I go and visit, and we do use trainers. But I'm just going to play this, and if one of you can just perhaps, I hope the audio is there. If somebody will just help me with that the audio is there.
It's very quiet over here. Nothing happening over here.
Celeste, can you hear that?
All very quiet.
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Is there anything happening at the school? Holy Trinity in Attridgeville. Up the stairs, let's check the second level. Nothing happening over here. Still nothing happening over here. Maybe. It's 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the afternoon. Is there anything happening at the school? Let's see. There is Lego Robotics happening at the school. What's happening at Holy Trinity? What are you doing? Robotics!
Yeah, so in the quiet of a very, in the afternoon, there aren't too many activities at the schools. And this is also one of the great things is that we actually give kids an opportunity to be part of a club and do something at the schools. So the schools are very quiet. So this is an example just of a classroom at a school with the learners actually doing some robotics. And there's just a picture of our end of year competition. That was the very first one in 2013. And obviously happy faces. And we've developed a lot from that and changed. And in fact, what happens here is that these learners will qualify. They will qualify from their competition to participate in our provincial and national competitions around the country. This is typically in a town hall in the township as well, where learners are being tested on the day, so having their little competition, and you can see the different T-shirts or the learners or kids from different schools. The gentleman who's the judge with the judge's jersey on, they are we use engineering students from Tshwane University of Technology to actually mentor these kids and train them. So they train before they actually go in there, and that's also a success story in itself, because these students actually become teachers when they have to then present what they're good at to kids that have never seen it before. Just another nice picture. And the kids really get involved. It's very engaging, and obviously there's a lot of STEM involved, plus coding. 2016 Township Robotics competition. It has grown. We can't grow it any larger because of we're limited, obviously, with the equipment that we use. And that was in 2019, obviously before COVID. And very lucky these kids who actually won the competition to actually get some Lego prizes. Here's a little video about that competition. I hope you enjoy that. It explains a little bit more, and also there's some comments.
In 2009, Care for Education and the Lego Foundation initiated a project targeting students in grade R to 7 across all primary schools in the South African township of Attridgeville. Based on the belief that children learn best when they are actively involved in the learning process and construct something they find personally meaningful, the project grew to include an introduction to robotics.
We started with the robotics in Attridgeville because we wanted to bring a play agenda into the schools. We had seen how children had improved in maths and science, but we wanted to find something that was a bit more exciting and allowed them to play and experiment and to try new ideas. And we thought the robotics would be a perfect program for that.
Each week, 200 children attend an after-school robotics class in the township to learn about coding while developing a breadth of skills such as collaboration and creativity. Once a year, the best teams meet to compete at the Township Robotics event in Attridgeville.
So the competition layout is a problem that they have to solve, which is a table, and they have a number of ways of scoring on the table. The whole idea is to try and build and become innovative and creative, and to end with the most number of points on the table as you can.
At first, I must say that I was a little bit skeptical about it, but I realized that she actually loves it very much. When she spoke about it, there was this excitement in her eyes and all that.
18-year-old Karabo Ruturi is one of the judges at this year's Township Robotics. In 2012, at age 12, she herself was a participant as part of the Crazy Divas team. This all-girl team showed so much talent and passion that they managed to finish second in the national leg of the World Robot Olympiad competition just 5 months after their first robotics experience. allowing them to represent their country in the Global World Robot Olympiad event in Malaysia.
The robotics competition has definitely influenced my life. I've learned that not everything is going to go according to plan, but you still have to have patience in order to figure out what you're doing wrong, go and fix it, and then come try again. In terms of academics, I went from getting 40s and 50s to getting 70s and 80s in subjects like mathematics, which I didn't like, but for the fact that I did this, I found them very interesting, and that persuaded me to work harder than I usually do. I'm a very quiet person, so it has forced me to break out of that shell and be able to communicate with others. I'm back here because besides the fact that I love this, I want everybody to get an experience of what I got.
So they're still experimenting with all the maths experiments, science experiments that they would have done in a normal school classroom, but this time they're doing it by touching and feeling. And so the content is much more powerful. They remember it for longer. And so robotics inspires children. It's a way to free themselves from the shackles that they feel in the township.
The winner of the 2018 Township Robotics Festival will now proceed to the National World Robot Olympiad competition. And who knows whether they too will make it to the global finals.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. So there's a little summary of what we do, and these are the three girls. Obviously, I was chaperoning them a little bit, but an incredible story, and to know that in fact Karabo, who you saw speaking at the competition, is still busy, and she's assisting me actually managing that project now. And she's busy with her second degree. She did a financial degree, and then she also she's busy with a computer information systems degree at the moment. And that's just showing our colors in, I think it was Malaysia. So obviously we don't do all this ourselves. We also partner with collaborators in South Africa. And we're also part of what we call a STEMI, which is the Association of STEMI Olympiads and Competitions in South Africa, which are all the different Olympiads and competitions, which are maths and science and astro quizzes and all that sort of thing around the country. And with their support, I'm able to actually go out with some funding to train in rural areas and to work with science centers, et cetera, in rural areas. And this is a map of South Africa. And basically the last month, I did 4 training sessions around South Africa, and trained 14 different institutions, 54 trainers, and they will then obviously lead this out and have learners or children from schools come to attend robotics at their schools and centers. These are trainers, for example, that we work with in the science centers. Here's a little bit of a game. Typically, for those watching, how do we generate power? If you had a bicycle and a chain and you connected it to a motor, and here effectively using the robotic system, we are making a motor move by generating the power from another motor. And they're turning a handle or another motor just to race to the end of the table. So that typically is some of the fun we have in the training. And this is another school, and here we are using a color sensor and colors to drive a Lego robot. And these guys also had never experienced anything like this before.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, enter and run.
And a bit of teamwork. Your team's got to make sure the robot comes back to you. That's working with my adult children, which I have a lot of fun with. So even as adults, we love to play and enjoy that kind of thing. As far as the World Robot Olympiad competition is concerned, basically an international competition. I'm going to move on from that and don't explain too much. It is it is in the cloud and on the web everywhere. People can have a look at it themselves in their countries. This is South Africa and Thailand, 2018. These are just some of the teams again on the tables at international level. And here's a short video of the World Robot Olympiad itself. the robots playing soccer as well. Basically showing that robotics is fun learning. We obviously have access to Lego, and that's what we use, but there are so many platforms out there, and less expensive ones. And a starting point is just to go and find something like that, where effectively what you can do is, you know, build your own robot and code it to do whatever you want it to do in the house, even to flush a toilet, you know, or to sense you coming into a room and actually putting on the light switch. Those are the basics. The first robotic elephant ever. If you don't believe me, have a look at this. So basically within these, you can also code sounds. And it's not just about the robotics. Look at the mechanical movements over there, which are critical within STEM and innovation, because that's how you have to work to see how things will fit to make something happen. And that's picking up a log and moving it out of the road. That obviously came down in a storm. Thank you, dear elephant. I'm just going to go back one. And that's just a little picture of what the sets entail with all their sensors and motors. And there are examples of things that you can build. But then again, what the competitions are about is actually coming up with your own build and your own coding solution as well. So typically here, and this is Lego, obviously, but this is what you find in any robotic situation. You know, we also always thought that robots were mindroids or copies of human beings, which in fact robots are, because we've copied human senses and the motor movements and a brain, which is the processor, to actually replace the functions of what we do in daily life. But basically, this is a robot. It doesn't look like a human or a robot moving around, but the sensors are at the bottom. And for example, from a learning perspective, ultrasonic is senses distance and obstacles, color sensors, reflected light, gyros measuring angles, and then obviously different sizes of motors to give you different movement. This is a newer version of the Lego product with all the different models that you can build. And this, as a matter of interest, the new Spike Prime version, uses Scratch, and you can also use MicroPython, and then also the EV3, which is the other version which you saw before. Those you can also code, as long as you change, you know, you alter the firmware in those bricks. You can use any programming language, you know, all the way from Java to C+ languages, etc. And there's just an example of the easiness. So for very young children, you don't want to use text coding. I mean, I've seen some Python happening with very young learners, and those are people with kids with passion. To make it easy for you know, younger learners is to have these icon-based learning platforms, so you can change sliders and speeds, etc., in pictorial format. That's just on iPads, etc. And there's the Scratch, obviously, which I saw earlier on somebody's presentation. This is just a South African national event. And this was the last one in 2019. And those are typically, because we have access to Lego, our trophies are made out of Lego, but that's our trophies that we hand out for our national competitions. And here again, just some winners that go. So our winners obviously go to international competitions, and I participate in those as an open category judge as well. The numbers are started in 2004. But at the moment, we're around about 29,000 teams from around the world that participate in 90 member countries. I'll just show you some pictures. Oh, so the competition itself has different sections and categories and age groups, and those are also available on the website. I'm not going to elaborate on those too much. That was in Doha, Qatar, a massive competition. So you have table challenges, and you also have presentations like a science project in the open category, which is where the real innovation happens. Costa Rica, Hungary 2019, and then as I said about the open category, these are what we call future innovators. And here you use a robotic solution, and this is not Lego limited now. You can use any hardware or software, but there's a theme on an annual basis from a different country, and you've got to come up with solutions for those themes using, and obviously teamwork. So our teams are always 2 or 3, and they're, you know, the soft skills of the past, which are becoming more critical in the future, also have a place here. I'm not quite sure what I'm showing here now. I'm going to start it because I'm also just watching the time. And I'm going to stop it halfway through. An open category project from South Africa that came second in the world in the
My name is Dylan.
17 to 19-year-old age group.
This is our robot, CE3, Cave Explorer 3.
Being fortunate to have a World Heritage Site on our doorstep at Marupeng, we wanted to promote one of South Africa's very own sites, namely the Sterkfontein Caves. These caves form part of a fossil hominid site of southern Africa. Sterkfontein was declared a World Heritage Site in 2000, and the area in which it is situated was named the Cradle of Humankind. See how CE3 finds new undiscovered cave chambers and seeks new pieces in the puzzle of our human origin. Caves are the least explored places on the earth. CE3 was designed to make exploration possible. With its small dimensions, CE3 can fit into small spaces comfortably, and despite his rough tracks, he leaves hardly any destructive footprints.
CE3 is equipped with state-of-the-art technology. Fitted with a camera that can provide live video feed, CE3 has a camera-mounted gimbal designed with the NXT processor and Lego, thus allowing CE3 to have 360-degree vision. All video footage can be recorded and sent via Wi-Fi to a central...
Okay, so I'm going to skip that. I'm going to show one version of, for example, the table challenge. And these, basically what happens, you have 5 months to prepare, and then you have to build your own robot, write your own code for a solution on a table in an age group. And then eventually what happens is you have to get the highest score in the shortest time with a maximum time of 2 minutes. And effectively, you'll see here, this is a Komodo dragon island, and they're trying to get the bad red eggs off the table. And this has taken them 5 months to prepare to actually get a result. And I think they were second in the world. Now the sensor's obviously reading those, collecting them, etc., etc. I have more of these, but I'm not going to show that. So typically, just from a robotics perspective, we also participated on a virtual platform last year, or the last 2 years, called Virtual Robotics Toolkit, where you have simulators using the same robot and code. If you don't actually have a robot, you can actually go and use your 2-dimensional screens to actually code and move robots around on the table. I was going to share just the theme for this year for WRO, which is My Robot, My Friend, and it's just about how robots can be of assistance to humans. I'm going to move on to one more because that's just the background slide. And then, yeah, back to everybody else and a few questions, if there are any. I see in the chat there are some, but I'm hoping Celeste, you'll remind me of those. I'm going to stop sharing.
All right, cool. That's great, Danie.
Sorry, thank you very much. Antonius, can I just interrupt? I don't have any questions, I'm afraid. I'm not clever enough, I don't think. But more than that, I would like to say it's a very exciting presentation. It's very uplifting to see the state of robotics in South Africa through your services and through Care for Education and the Lego Foundation. And you can be sure I shall be hounding you to have some students present at the next gift, to take part in the next future in Invent Futures Global Challenge, and then also for the GRC at the end of the year. So we've got a very fine future. So thank you very much, Danie. Thank you for a very fine presentation. Thank you, Antonius.
It's my pleasure, and I think it would be very exciting, certainly with the innovation angle, is to actually have some of the learners present their projects rather than a video and talk about them themselves.
Exactly right, exactly right. We would be going for that. And likewise through the Institute, we would be also asking them to make presentations, as we have discussed anyway, but Thank you, Danie. A lovely presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Antonius, the questions?
Yeah, Kushal, I think this is very interesting for him.
Yes, it is very interesting for me. I learned a lot from your presentation, and I may participate in these competitions myself also.
Wow.
Yeah, you should definitely try. I'm assuming, Kushal, that are you from, which country are you from?
I'm from India.
Yeah, so I was actually in Delhi for one of the competitions probably about 5 years ago. We had it in Delhi. So, and there is a national organizer. So just go and look for WRO, World Robot Olympiad in India, and you will find it. And yeah, well, you know what I look like now. So I'm always there in the open category and helping run the event. So just come and say hello to me.
Cool.
Yes, I'm.
All right, Danie, I think everybody agree that that's a great presentation. Thank you so much for your effort for the education in South Africa, especially for bringing STEMI there. So I hope that all people and students enjoy your program.
Thank you. It's been an honor to participate, and it's my first introduction to this, so I'll definitely be following it going forward.
Sure. Thank you so much. For our viewers on YouTube, if you see this presentation, please contact Danie directly. Previously, you may go to the previous part of the presentation to get the contact. All right, Danie,
Yes.
thank you so much for your time. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Have a good day.